Well, hello and welcome to Round Mountain Tai Chi. I had a little learning experience the other day. I was out here recording a bunch of videos and I'd done a lovely one on this posture called press. And it was only later I discovered that I managed to double tap the old record button, so in fact I recorded 1 second and I spent the next 10 or so minutes talking to my phone. Uh, Brilliant. Um, so, these experiences, are they annoying? A little bit frustrating, perhaps, but they're also an opportunity to learn and just to remind yourself. So the professor had this idea of invest in loss. So when you do make a mistake or something doesn't go, what can you learn from that situation? So don't just accept it as a failure. It's an opportunity to learn and figure out why it went wrong. Okay, so and that's sort of true for everything. And it also comes down to if you're unwilling to make a mistake, then what are you going to do? I do quite like learning languages, for example, and if I refuse to practice any of those or try and put them into use, what have I done? I've not really invested my time properly. Being unwilling to make a mistake, you don't say anything at all apart from "Can you speak English?" or "Where's the bathroom?" It's sometimes good to allow yourself the freedom to make a mistake, because who knows, that mistake might prove into be some sort of happy accident. Like the thing that just occurred to me was the growing of penicillin. It was I think that was somewhat accidental. This petri dish was growing this unusual mold, and that's what led to they were doing some experiment with petri dishes, and they discovered penicillin on the back of it. Quite a happy accident. Anyway, enough of that. Invest in loss, okay? Be willing to make a mistake in the hope that you can learn from it, okay? And when you do make a mistake, because we can't get it right first time, apparently, let's see what we can do. So where we got up to at the end of the previous video was this sort of rollback posture here. Okay, so we're going to get into that the long way round, as I normally say, by going through the form up to that point. So if you're following along with the video, this is just a very, very short bit of practice. Okay, and so in a general class, we would always start off practicing what we'd done in the previous lesson, adding on something more, and then revising and building on that to sort of try and make it flow into the form itself. So let's just begin. Heels together, toes apart, gazing off into the distance. The sun's out. Bit of a mixed blessing because it means I have to squint a little bit sometimes, but anyway, let's see how we get on. So heels together, toes apart, eyes level, gazing off into the distance, arms loose by your sides. And all of the weight goes down onto the right leg and the hands inflate in front of the thighs. We step out to the left. We transfer the weight over onto that left leg, allowing the waist to turn. Then we turn that right foot, point to the north, and stand up, equalizing the weight. The arms rise, led up by the wrists. Then the fingers rise. The elbows sink and the hands come back towards the body. As the elbows go back a little more, the fingertips point up. And the hands come back down in front of the thighs. We then sink, turn the weight, and catch the moon. We transfer all the weight forward onto our right leg, squaring our waist up toward the east. We turn to the diagonal. Take our small step, placing our heel roughly where the toe was, transferring the weight as the left hand rises and the right hand falls. And as you get to that 60 to 70% mark, you can turn into your left leg, into that left hip, allowing the right foot to pivot on its heel. When ward off left. We transfer the weight forward all the way onto the left leg. We catch the moon once more. Turning the waist to the diagonal, all the weight still on the left leg, meaning we can take our nice controlled step toward the east, transferring the weight as the right hand rises, the left hand tracking it, and then we square the waist up toward the east, pivoting on the left heel. So we got to here. Then we turn a little more into that right hip, arms and body just following the movement. All the weight comes back onto the left leg. Left hand points at the right elbow, the right hand is pointing up or slightly forwards. Not too far, just more up than forwards. Then we turn into that left hip. Okay, So that was the roll back. Okay, so let's have a look at the next posture. Okay, so again, whenever I'm getting into these postures, I'll always stand with my feet shoulder width apart, turn the back leg out, and then take my step forwards. It becomes a nice way to get that controlling step. Don't just go stepping forwards and then sort of try and do it, because you might step too far, and then you'll find it very difficult. If I do it pointing this way, and I just sort of go, yeah, this feels quite nice. And then I'm asked to put all my weight onto this back leg such that I can lift this one off. Well, no, I'm still leaning. Right, I have to really try and sink down, or I'm sticking my butt out or something like that. And we're trying to keep this nice and level. So it's not how far you step that matters, okay? It's that you can always come back to 100% of the weight on one leg, okay? It's easy to know if it's 100% because you can lift your other foot off the ground, okay? So we get into a roll back position. So all the weight is on this back leg. We've turned the hip. So what's going to happen next? It's going to be this. Okay, let's go press. So let's have a think about what's happening here. So we're here with the arms, okay? So fingertips pointing to the elbow, this hand pointing up slightly forwards, okay? So we're obviously turned into the diagonal there. So we're going to let this come down and then just come back up, more or less to where we started from in the ward off right. So we're in the ward off right, we roll back, the arm will just fall and come back up, fall, and there's a lot of arcs and circles in the form. You know, the yin yang symbol. It's actually sometimes called the Tai Chi symbol because it's the dynamic balance of hard and soft, light and dark, hot and cold, sharp and flat, if you like. Who knows? So looking at just this hand, it comes back. It's then going to drop as we're moving forward so it can come back to here as we finish the posture. Okay, so get to the roll back, then goes and comes back up. And there's this idea that the air has got the consistency of water when you're doing the form. So it means that I'm not going to want to sort of do this or some other weird thing. Okay, it's sort of like treacle-like. So there's only one way that I can really move like that. This hand, well, as we let go, we're going to allow this to swing and just allow that movement to just sort of allow it to come over, but then I just want it to come back forward and through. Now, it's not like a front crawl. I'm not having again, I want to keep this elbow nice and low. So it's just going to come up and over, and it's going to come forward to land gently on the thumb of the right hand, okay? We're not squashing and squeezing, okay? There is contact there, but if I was to put nachos, bit of poppadom, prawn cracker on there, this hand would just be enough to hold it in place and not smash it, okay? So, you know, you quite often see people thinking, oh, press, right, I'm like pressing flowers, trying to make them flat or something. No, it's not that. So we come back and roll back, let the arms go. So we've got this idea that when we're coming forward, it's sort of drifting like that. And then as we're turning, that hand is able to come over back into the posture. So it's sometimes easier with this to practice from the ward off right. So let's do that. So we've not had to move our feet at all during this section. So if you're feeling tired, just stand up for a bit, okay? But then we can get into our posture again. So ward off right. We turn into the right hip, all the way back onto the left leg, turn into the left hip. The arms are released. We start transferring the weight forward as the body's starting to turn as well, back into press, okay? Now, it's one of these postures where it's not like we go diagonal then turn. It is just both. It's just this sort of smooth transition of both at the same time, which is what allows the arms to do the movement. So from ward off right, turning into the right hip, all the way back onto the left leg, turn into the left hip to finish our roll back. The arms are released and we're starting to move forward immediately to come into press. Okay. So again, it's like you could just do this over and over. You could do it for hours. What fun you could have. Just going from ward off right into roll back and press. So ward off right, coming back into that roll back posture and into press. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Now, it's said that the grass sparrow's tail sequence, it's got a lot about the martial aspect of this, because there is a martial aspect. It's maybe not looked at too often, and certainly I wouldn't suggest, having learnt this section, that you then take it to the streets and try and do something, because I can say that I never lost a fight all the time I lived in Glasgow, for one simple reason: I didn't get into any, you know. But yeah, so you can get hurt, you can get into trouble, all sorts of things can happen. So the idea I said last lesson about the ward off, the rollback, was if something's coming towards you, you're saying, on your way, young man, young sir, young miss, great big charging buffoon, whoever it happens to be. Okay, and this idea that you're sort of steering them off, but maybe they don't go charging on past you and they're a bit more clever. Well, here you can maybe just go, no, you can just stay away. But again, don't in the form, don't go squashing your hands together. It's just an idea. Okay. Sometimes it can be useful where you think there's somebody coming towards you, you're steering them away, but then you're maybe pushing them away. Okay. So don't get too het up on that. And as far as applications of posture goes, a lot of these things, they only work if the person has the good grace to attack you in the right way. So you're there ready to sort of intercept them and they start attacking you with the wrong hand or a foot or something. It's like, oh, no, stop it. You're not attacking me the right way. What you need to do is actually, it's like, huh? And I'm just kidding. Oh dear, never mind. Right, so, but, we come back to there. And it's just this nice thing of just allowing the movement of the body to try and drive the motion of the arms. Okay? And it's a simple movement as well. So you can see people sort of trying to do things that are a bit more flowery. And we're just going for this elegant simplicity. Sort of minimalist, but not brutalist, if you to follow the sort of architectural sort of style of things. So we're not trying to, that'd be the sort of brutalist version, but then you've got the Baroque version where you've got someone trying to do all sorts of fancy. It's not really us, or it's not really me. So if you're in my class, it's not really us. You can do whatever you like elsewhere. But, so it's just this sort of nice simplicity of movement that we're looking for to get into press. Okay, so that's the press posture. There's one more to come. It's a doozy. And then beyond that, onto the single whip, which would take us to the end of this free section, which I've been trying to redo since I've got a slightly better audio, I feel. So apologies, there's been about 3 different runs of this. I'm trying to get all these together, so hopefully I can pace them out reasonably quickly, and still hoping to have a class, but just recently we've been hearing about rules of 6 coming into play, so that puts a little timestamp on when this was recorded. So, we'll just have to do it when we can. I might reevaluate what's happening at the end of this, in case anyone is desperate to learn more of the form, but I might end up putting that somewhere else. Okay, enough of that another time. So in the meantime, thank you for watching. I hope you get something out of this. I know some people are watching it, so hopefully you're getting something from it that's useful. You're doing your practice. So thanks very much. If you are, like, subscribe, share, do all that sort of stuff. Put bells on if I put it on YouTube. All that great stuff. And hope to see you someday, which would be nice. But until then, keep calm, keep practicing, stay relaxed. Thanks.